Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well and have had a great Saturday so far. In tonight's update, we're going to be talking about the severe weather threat that is ongoing across parts of the southern United States. And then we'll be also talking about the severe weather threat for tomorrow on Sunday across parts of the southeast United States. And then we'll be talking about the pattern change as we get into January and what we could really expect as we get into January and end out the year. So let's go ahead and get started with tonight's update. First, looking at the convective outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, and this is the latest 0-1Z update, and this will be updated in about 2.5 to 3 hours from when I'm recording this. But we do have a moderate risk here into Mississippi and a small portion of Alabama for tonight. Around that is an enhanced risk into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. And then around that is a slight risk around that enhanced and moderate risk into portions of southern Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, western Georgia, the western panhandle of Florida, and then even into Louisiana as well. And then we have a marginal risk around that into portions of Tennessee, far western North Carolina, far western South Carolina, Georgia, the panhandle of Florida as well, and then into a small section of Mississippi and Louisiana. And we do have a 15% tornado risk with this, with a hatch risk around that. And then we have a 10% risk in that yellow area around that into Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. And then we have a 5% around that into Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Florida. And then we have a 2% tornado risk around that into portions of Tennessee, portions of far western North Carolina, into Georgia, the panhandle of Florida, and into Louisiana as well. And so what that hatched area means is a 10% or greater probability of EF2 to EF5 tornadoes within 25 miles of a point in this area with those dashed black lines there. And then if we look at our wind risk for tonight, we do have a 45% wind risk in this area into Mississippi here, and that is again surrounded in another hatch risk, and the hatched area means a 10% or greater probability of wind gust 65 knots or greater within 25 miles of a point in this area here. And so we also have a 30% wind risk around that into Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Again, a part of that 30% risk is in a hatch risk as well, and then around that is a 15% wind risk in that yellow area there, and then around that is again a 5% wind risk in that brownish color there for tonight. And then looking at our hail risk, we just have a 15% hail risk into Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama, and then we have 5% hail risk around that 15% risk, and that is again into Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, northwestern Georgia, the far western panhandle of Florida, and then into a portion of Louisiana. And that is again the convective outlook for tonight. And so now looking at the day 2 convective outlook for Sunday, December the 29th, 2024. And so we have a marginal risk all the way from Ohio into West Virginia, North Carolina, a small section of Kentucky there, Tennessee, North Carolina, even into Georgia, Alabama, the panhandle of Florida, and a portion of the northern Florida peninsula there, and then into eastern North Carolina as well, and then again almost into the entire state of Virginia there. And then we have a slight risk around that into southern Virginia, North Carolina, basically the entire state of South Carolina, then into much of Georgia, southeast Alabama, and then into the panhandle of Florida there, and then really into the northern Florida peninsula there. And then we do have a 5% wind risk with this tomorrow into portions of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, with a 2% risk surrounding that into North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, and the panhandle of Florida as well. And then we do have a 5% wind risk there across much of the southeast, and then a 5% around that, 15% risk there across much again of the southeast and then into the mid-Atlantic as well. And then looking at our hail risk, we just have a 5% hail risk for tomorrow, and that is again across parts of South Carolina, Georgia, Southeast Alabama, and the panhandle of Florida for tomorrow. So now looking at the HRRR weather model for tonight across parts of the southern United States. And so as you can see right here, and so this line will continue to move east over the next couple of hours, and those damaging winds will be along this line as well, with the possibility of hail and tornadoes along this line. And there will also be storms possible out ahead of this line that could get going and produce again hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes, especially into Alabama and the panhandle of Florida over the next couple of hours. So this line will keep its strength as it moves to the east, and even a pretty strong line of storms, the same line, but the line farther to the north is still pretty strong as we get in the next really couple of hours, and then later to tonight, and then into early tomorrow on Sunday as you get into Tennessee and even Alabama. Later tonight into early tomorrow on Sunday could see a nasty line of storms move through there. Again, if you look at our low-level jet with this, you're going to have a pretty strong low-level jet with plenty of instability, and that will again aid in that tornado, wind, and damaging hail risk as well as those storms move to the east. And so by early tomorrow morning, these storms will again be moving into the panhandle of Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and then even into the Carolinas as well. And then even Kentucky could see some strong winds from that line there. And then as you get into tomorrow morning, again, those storms move to the east and get into the Carolinas. But as you can see, that line moves to the east and actually regains its strength kind of early, the early afternoon hours tomorrow to the late morning hours tomorrow, And so again, that line will be pretty nasty as it moves to the east and will deliver some damaging winds, and also the possibility for again tornadoes and hail as well as it gets farther into tomorrow. And then if we look at the 0Z update, or not the update but the run, that line continues on even into Virginia as well, and then into South Carolina. Still have some storms moving into Florida as well as southern Georgia, and then by later tomorrow evening, those storms should finally begin to move off the east coast, and then even some more storms could form maybe late tomorrow night across portions of even Virginia and eastern North Carolina as well. And then finally that really whole line should be moved off by sometime early Monday morning. And then finally looking at our pattern change that will occur really as we get into early January and even into mid-January. And so looking at our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here from the Climate Prediction Center. And so below average temperatures are expected across much of the eastern and parts of the central United States, with above average temperatures expected into the western U.S. And then looking at our precipitation outlook here, we have above average precipitation into portions of the central and northwestern U.S., and then below average in the southwestern and northeastern United States there. And then looking at our 8 to 14 day temperature outlook here. And so again, below average temperatures are expected into portions, or really much of the central United States, and then into, again, basically the entire eastern U.S. there. And then above average temperatures expected into the western U.S. And then looking at the precipitation outlook here, above average precipitation is expected into the north central U.S., and then into portions of the southeastern U.S., and then below average precipitation is expected into the northeastern United States and the southwestern United States. And then finally, even looking at our 3 to 4 week outlook here, again, still below average temperatures are expected into the eastern and central U.S. for that, again, 3 to 4 week range. And then looking at the western U.S. will still be above average as far as temperature goes. And then looking at the precipitation outlook here. Below average precipitation is expected into the southwestern and portions of the south central United States, with above average precipitation expected into the northwestern U.S. and portions of the really eastern U.S. and then basically into the Atlantic seaboard there. And so looking at the latest EPS ensemble here, and so as you can see, above average temperatures will dominate much of the much of the United States here over the next couple of days. And then finally, as we get into New Year's Eve, below average temperatures start to finally move in here. And then by New Year's Day, below average temperatures are expected into quite a bit of the central U.S. and even the western U.S. And then they will finally begin to move into portions of the eastern U.S. there. And then as we get to kind of early January, we go to the 3rd and 4th of January here. As you can see, those below average temperatures move in, and so you have this basically stream of below average temperatures that will move in. And as we get into the 7th, 8th, and 9th of January, below average temperatures dominate much of the central and eastern U.S. And then really after that, those linger around for quite some time. And again, it's pretty far out to really see the exact areas where these temperatures will be below average. But again, it pretty much is expected to be below average across the entire eastern U.S. and really much of the central U.S., with above average temperatures more towards the west, with the exception of that being kind of early into that period, maybe into the first couple of days into the new year. And if we look at the GEFS ensembles here, in comparison to the EPS ensembles, shows the same thing here, below average temperatures moving into the new year. And then those below average temperatures really begin to move in through the 7th, 8th, and 9th period of January. And then looking out for our winter storm chances here. And so if we go back just a little bit, we'll have our system here move out again sometime maybe on Monday, and that'll exit the United States. And then after that, we'll have to watch out for that cold air way up here into the northwestern U.S. and into Canada. And then we could have another system that would move through maybe on New Year's Eve across the mid-Atlantic, Great Lakes region, and really just the northeast United States. And that could deliver some snow, but mainly rain across those areas. And then you'll have that cold air finally move in. So this is again the latest 18Z GFS here, and does show a little bit of snow on that on this run, here into the Appalachians. And then you could have maybe another system around that January 6th period could move through, and then even again another system looks like it shows up here for the 8th and 9th period of January. And then again, just that widespread cold air moves in, and then that would again just bring well below average temperatures for the eastern and central U.S. But again, that is just the operational running out the EPS ensembles. But if we go to the European here and look at the same thing for our winter storm chance, and so if we go to again the 1st of January and New Year's Eve, you'll have that system move through there, finally gets out maybe on the 2nd or 3rd, and then you'll have all that cold air behind that'll move in there. And so again, you could have that another system move through, same with the GFS, and we'll have to watch this system for maybe another cool down or even a winter storm for portions of the Great Lakes or the northeastern United States. And then after that, again, just gets pretty unreliable, and we can't really make a good forecast for that range. But again, the pattern is going to be active, and we'll have plenty of cold air, so we'll just have to really wait and see how the models play out, because you're going to have an active jet stream here as well. And then even if we look at our 500 millibar vortice here, kind of to show our systems at the 500 millibar level, really into the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere here. And so again, here's our system that'll move out into the 1st of January. Then we'll have some periods of energy moving through, and then as you go farther into that 4th and 5th, into the 4th and 5th of January, you'll have that other system move through, and then you'll have another system potentially dive down on the European run, and that would be that other significant system there. But if we go back a little bit here, we'll go to about the 4th of January, and as you can see, there's our energy for that larger system. And if we go to the runs previous or prior to this one, you can see that energy continues to stay in that general area. So this may be the next system we'll have to watch, but again, it's just getting pretty far out. And then if we look at the GFS here for the same thing and go farther into the run here, it does show that energy there for that 5th and 6th and 7th period of January. And so we'll just have to watch that and how that plays out. And I think honestly this system right here could kickstart the kind of really Arctic air outbreak, and those systems will be able to dive maybe farther to the south, and we'll see how that plays out as well. But really all we can do right now is just wait and see how this would play out as we get closer to this time period. But really over the next week or two, a lot will be going on, and we'll just have to keep watching this active pattern as we get later into December and then finally into early in January. So that's going to be it for tonight's update. I really do appreciate all of y'all watching, and I'm going to try to have another video out maybe by tomorrow, but if not, I'll try to have one out at least by Monday or Tuesday of next week. And then after that, I'll just try to continue to update y'all on the winter storm chances and our pattern change as we get into January. And really as we get into January, I'm going to try to start uploading more and more, because I know it'll get pretty active and we'll be having to watch out for the winter storm chances. But again, that'll be it for tonight's update, and I hope y'all stay safe if you live in any of the areas that will be affected or are being affected by severe weather tonight and tomorrow. But again, I just hope y'all stay safe and have a great rest of y'all's night, and have a great day tomorrow on Sunday.